Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry, I'm stretching for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all fantastic and that you're all having a great day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. There's a lot going on, like almost too much. It's kind of one of those days, if you can say it that way. Yeah, let's jump right into it. First up, in very popular news that's floating around right now, everyone's trying to still figure out the market and figure out what's going on and what's happening and all that other kinds of stuff. Ethereum is quite heavily once again in the news, simply because the amount of Ethereum on crypto exchanges continues to decrease quite quickly. The news that we received recently was that people were assuming, or rather we heard that we were going to get Ethereum ETFs, like approved finally to launch sometime in summer. That then turned into Gary Gensler confirming summer, and that turned into a number now of analysts for ETFs coming forward saying that they assume that the Ethereum ETF launch date is going to be on the 2nd of July, which is leading to a lot of massive amounts of accumulation. If you've been paying attention to any of the news stories that we've been getting about Ethereum, the amount of Ethereum on crypto exchanges continues to drop quite quickly. The amount of Ether being staked is also increasing quite quickly. The circulating supply, if you will, continues to drop. There's not a lot left on crypto exchanges. It's all in anticipation of this moment. It's almost like extra gearing up for this event. There's still, I mean, once again, this is lightly redundant, but still, the calls are now for a 10 to 15,000 Ethereum over the course of this year. I think the lowest that I've seen was $8,000 from someone. They said by the end of this year, they're expecting at least an $8,000 Ether, what have you, so on and so forth. So yeah, the amount of, I mean, everyone's getting ready for this one event. We'll see if anything actually ends up happening. Logically, it should, as the ETFs go live. A lot of Bitcoin maximalists, just Bitcoin maximalists online, have been stating that they don't think that the Ethereum ETFs will be as popular as the Bitcoin ones. They'll have less volume. They won't have as much interest. But it's the same kind of energy that we saw from Michael Saylor. For those of you who weren't here, Michael Saylor, being one of the larger Bitcoin maximalists, said that there would never actually even be an Ethereum ETF, and that it was never going to happen, and Bitcoin would be the only one that the market chose. And then when the market actually got the approval for the Ethereum ones, about 3 days after, he was like, oh no, Ethereum is great, Ethereum ETFs are wonderful. And it's like, okay. So I assume that they'll do extremely well. It's just a matter of the numbers. You know, the similar how it's the number 2 coin, I will assume that it'll have number 2 numbers. You know, it'll do well, but not as well as the Bitcoin ETFs. But Ethereum's a lot easier to move in price as far as, like, you know, volume, transaction wise and stuff like that. So I assume we'll get to this is a theory. I assume we'll get to a $10,000 Ether rather quick. It's just a matter of our market and other world markets actually performing properly. I found a bunch of charts today, and I'll even go over one of the other ones with you as well. This purple line is the amount of Ethereum on crypto exchanges, and you can see like it's constantly dipping down and going more and more. As in 2022, it kind of goes off the screen here because a lot of these websites, the things are too big or they're formatted incorrectly or what have you. But yeah, we're all the way down here right now. There's barely anything, if you will, left on crypto exchanges, and a lot of that is also going to get absorbed whenever the ETFs actually end up getting approved. But yeah, there's a lot of hype right now around Ethereum ETFs and where they're going to go, where prices are going to go. everyone's kind of waiting. Like, so not like a normal wait. It's like extra levels of waiting. Even if some days we do have a movement up in price, people are waiting for kind of like the big shebang to kind of take place. The numbers that I'm still seeing revolve in high 70s for Bitcoin, 84,000, 86,000. I just read something even before this. Some analyst was saying if we hit, I think it's 87 or 88 and close above that number, that is to say over the course of a 24-hour period, we maintain those levels, then kind of it's all a go. But yeah, a lot of the news today is kind of just like question mark news that's floating around. A number of analysts, I think this is also even the new CEO of Binance, was discussing the actual market dynamics of the Bitcoin ETF and the effect that they have on prices and where the market is going to go. Forecasting now by the end of this year, an $80,000 Bitcoin, which also seems, like destructively low for everything that's been going on. I'll tell you all this because we've been together for a while. I was looking around because something kept on sticking out to me and I couldn't figure out what it was. Every time I saw the words Bitcoin ETF, every time I saw the letters Bitcoin ETF, I kept on being like, why does this sound so familiar? Like, not the term Bitcoin ETF, but I was like, I remember watching a video about this. There was something that I saw that stuck out, and I can't really put my finger on it. Like a day or two ago, I was looking around online, and I was like, okay, I found it. It's an old video of Andreas Antonopoulos, who used to be like one of, like, if not the main figurehead for Bitcoin within the space. I think he's still around doing things, giving talks, but not as prominent as he used to be. And he had a video from like 8 or 9 years ago. It's really weird, where he's standing on stage, and one of the more popular things that became popular about him is that during his speeches, whenever he would talk about Bitcoin, it was always noted that there were maybe 15, 16 people like actually in the audience. So he would talk in at these conventions, like there'd be about 600, 700 chairs, but only 15, 35 people were actually showing up for these things. He had a discussion and also like a revised video from 5 years ago where he was talking about Bitcoin ETFs, and I clicked on it and I was like, now I remember. He discussed the idea of paper Bitcoin, or the idea of like additional Bitcoin, or even like the hyper centralization of Bitcoin. When I first got into the cryptocurrency space, once again, I'm telling you all this just as, here's what I found out and what I remembered. One of the original ideas of crypto, the original ideas that's no longer really there, is like not having to integrate with or get close to financial institutions because they only have their best interest in mind. So in one of his early videos, he talks about the creation of Bitcoin ETFs. At this point, we're not even remotely close to it. This is the old SEC who kept on knocking them down over and over and over. And he was discussing why Bitcoin ETFs are good for the price, but actually bad for the coin. He said what ends up happening is that you'll have a gigantic amount of centralization of the coin from one or a few companies, whoever actually ends up getting the ETFs. He said, so price-wise, things will look great until they start acting like a little bit weird. And he said what's basically happening is that these ETF issuers will figure out how to manipulate the price quite easily. He says he goes into the idea, he said all ETFs, all world markets are manipulated. This is what me and you have gone over this thousands of times. There's a lot of confusion. A lot of people think that it's just crypto that's being manipulated. Anything with hundreds of millions of billions and trillions of dollars into it catches the eyes of larger institutions. But he said what ends up happening is, and what's currently happening right now, so it was kind of like a prediction, but also just a no diction. I don't know. He was saying that basically we'd see these companies jump into the space and talk about loving Bitcoin. They'd accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, but then we'd notice that prices would start getting a bit weird. And I was paying attention because I was like, this feels like where we currently are right now. And basically he said they do anything that they can to kind of like squish people out of the market continuously over and over and over, making sure that they get out. Anytime that these people leave the market, these ETFs would accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. He started going into talk about like Bitcoin forks and stuff like that, and how if there were forks or copies of Bitcoin made in the future, these companies would essentially, in essence, hold that much Bitcoin. So they would also extra profit. He was talking more from the vantage point of the olden days with like Bitcoin Cash and stuff like that, where if you were the crypto exchange and you held the Bitcoin, you know, not your keys, not your Bitcoin, you have it on an exchange, and therefore when Bitcoin Cash came to be, it was at the discrepancy of the crypto exchange to say if they wanted to actually give the new created coin to the people within the market. But yeah, no, it's interesting looking at these old videos, and this is why I mention a lot of times I'm definitely like an older player in the market. I have my beliefs about crypto and about Bitcoin, I think are very old school, and I mean like 2014, 15, 16. So it's not like, you know, 1,000 years ago, but it's still, time passes forward and it's still a decade ago. And it's this idea of almost like purity within the market. Like, we can make things work as long as we get new people into the market. That's why I always say sometimes, like, are you telling people about the market? Do you let people know what's going on? Do you explain inflation to them? Do you explain what deflation for Bitcoin is as well? Because we are now, I mean, we're at the mercy of the ETF issuers. These people are continuously, and I mean, we have in the last recent couple of days, we've had a lot of like outflow news, and this money is, you know, flowing out of the ETFs and stuff like that. But these metrics don't really matter, in that the outflows can also be coordinated to make sure that prices drop, so that as they're buying over the counter, they can also just simply buy without further even moving the price, or having certain buy orders set in that also wouldn't affect the price. You can coordinate them in a certain way against the actual sell orders to make sure that you may move the market up by 1%, but you still completely get to fill your order in a certain way. So yeah, a lot of the confusion floating around right now is, why aren't we over $100,000? And it's because we've allowed these companies and corporations to basically come in. They told us that they can move the price up, and they did, but now we're kind of waiting for like the next step, and it's just a gigantic question mark for the entire thing. But yeah, so the price predictions for Bitcoin are still coming in. This is the lowest, if you will, that we've seen at any given point. People are still calling for a $100,000 Bitcoin. We should have definitely been there a while ago. The problem also is that we're kind of wrapped up in this gigantic economic tornado, where we've kind of always been, but now it's becoming more obviously present as the days actually go along. There's a lot of news surrounding inflation, US inflation, interest rates. Will interest rates be changed? Other countries around the world are changing their interest rates. US inflation continues to remain stagnant and or go up. People keep pretending that the inflation numbers are going down. There was just a couple of days ago, what's his name? Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, the people who print the money in the US. He was on TV and he was saying he's so confused as to why people are upset with the inflation level and current economic numbers. He's like, you know, the economy is doing great. I don't get why people, and it's like, yeah, no, everyone's upset because everything's in complete disarray right now. I have so many friends who've been fired, who lost their jobs, who like, and I mean like secure positions that they thought that they had working for these large companies. And there's two sides of it. So I hear that they literally received an email, or someone came up to them and was like, hey, you know, Friday's your last day. I'm sorry. Like, you know, like we're downsizing. But on the news, that same exact company is there smiling, and they're like, yeah, you know, like we found a way to, you know, make extra money for our shareholders. So like the humans are feeling the actual crunch and the squeeze of what's going on. While inflation continues to rise, while rent is getting higher. And I saw a metric of other things that I didn't even think of, like other things that people have to pay for. And they were showing year on year, the prices of these things are rising by 18%. since the beginning of 2020, some of these things are up by 89%. And it's like, of course, no one's content with what's going on right now and why there's so much disarray or confusion and or anger, especially as we know that they cannot get inflation under control. And these low numbers that they keep showing us aren't actually what's taking place. China's also not doing well. Their economic situation is in complete disarray as well. Wherever you look, the news has shifted away from the idea that their real estate market, is still absolutely terrible. There's still hundreds of millions of places and properties and homes that have no one inside of them. They were building so much, anticipating that people would continuously buy forever. The economy's still not doing well. They're trying to figure out ways to inject extra cash into the market to try and move interest rates. It's also not working. Things aren't working too well. There's a huge amount of capital outflow happening from China, which they've been trying to stop or discourage people from doing since around 2010. People are finding ways to do it. I think we're currently in the moment now where the amount of capital outflow from China is outpacing the most that it's ever been before sometime in the past. Like it's continuously getting worse. Places in the Middle East also aren't doing well. They're trying to print as much money as possible to try and raise up their economies. It's not doing well. They're asking other countries for loans. The other countries are like, cool, we'll help you. But the problem is that some of these loans are incredibly astronomical that these countries will never, ever be able to pay back. It's like a huge thing that's taking place everywhere at the exact same time. And we've gotten to the point where there actually is no answer to fix all of this except for getting a brand new economy. I know that sounds completely insane, but there literally is no fixing all of this mess because there's so much debt involved with all these things. We're in like a complete standstill, just kind of basically waiting for things to kind of collapse so that we can rebuild. But as long as you can create a new currency and print more of it and all these other things, there was also some news. I think it was Zimbabwe and I believe it was Nigeria are working to create either like a central bank digital currency or like a brand new currency. They're trying to peg them to gold, and it's all these different things. Like it's like tons of desperation behind the scenes. Everyone's trying to do the exact same thing that just isn't working while asking for loans. There are tons of countries right now who are getting loans from China, like in the trillions of dollars, and this money is due in the next 20 to 30 years. A major part of this problem is that they know that these countries can't pay this loan back. So in 20 to 30 years, a large portion of these countries will be absorbed by China. Like, it's nuts what's happening. Like the placement of money and everything that's going on. Japan continues to not do well. One of the largest economies that we had before, their currency is like collapsing, completely falling directly into the ground. They're talking about now trying to raise interest rates to kind of like slow the collapse as much as they can, but it's also not doing well. So when I say that we're kind of like at the behest of everything that's going on, like while our metrics look great, the macro situation has once again turned to poo-poo. It's like 2020, 2021, but like, 2.0 kind of situation. And until we really get everything under control, I don't really know. There's just so much going on at the exact same time. I was chatting with a friend who's not even into finance. This guy's not even in. I mean, he invests. He has money working for him in the background. He basically lives, his best life on passive income from property and stuff that he owns, and also from stocks. He's not into it, daily. And me and him were talking. He's like something's up, like something, like there's a problem. And I was like, if he can feel it and he's not even in the market, he's like, no, I can feel. He's like, a lot of his friends keep talking to him. Like, more people are discussing these things. Even me, I have so many friends who are telling me their economic situations. And like, I see, like, normally sometimes I don't know if this happens to everyone else. I'd walk around with my friends. We'd walk by stores and they're like, I want to go get something. They'd run inside. My friends are window shopping more and more and more. And it's like, they don't want to give any like of their money up. The friends who are investing, they're still investing, but like and I say frivolous lightly, any kind of like fun spending has completely stopped, completely halted. Like, no one wants to give any money up because they're like, I don't know what the next couple of months are going to hold. Especially when you keep hearing that all these economies aren't doing too hot over and over and over, it does stick into the mind. Anyway, yeah. That's the current economic situation that we have going on around the world. And that's like a fraction of what it actually is. Like what's really taking place is always even worse. And we're always just getting kind of like the top crust of the cake, as opposed to being able to, I don't know why, I'm very hungry. Anytime you hear me say something with like food or cake or French toast, it's always, I'm like, yeah, I know I'm hungry. So yeah, that's all the price news, I guess, if you will, that we have right now. Our metrics are looking great. Like on the cryptocurrency side, they're looking absolutely fantastic. It's just a matter of us actually moving in the right direction. I see people on Twitter. I see the sentiment. Believe me, I see it of what's happening. When I post things, like I actually mean it on Twitter. Like it's not me like making a joke or something. Like I'm at the point where people keep calling for a lower Bitcoin or saying that we need to go lower or this is happening, or regardless of how much inflows we have, small outflows that are 1/8 of the inflows from the day before, how high our metrics are, how much money is moving in, how many new wallet addresses, how much, you know, all these different things. If people keep calling for a flush out of the longs and the shorts, let's do it. Let's go down to a $40,000 Bitcoin. We can all be done with it, and then we can all, you know, witness the market recovery. But yeah, kind of a stalemate, still, oh, whatever. Something's happening in chess. And yeah, let's move on. In probably one of the weirdest news stories ever. Charles Hoskinson is back in the news. Charles Hoskinson forecasted in 2023 at something called the Evo conference that Cardano was poised to become the top blockchain in the world. Speaking during a recent conference, Charles Hoskinson noted that Bitcoin has stalled, which is a reason why ADA can flip Bitcoin and to reach a larger market cap than the world's largest and oldest cryptocurrency. Hoskinson said that Bitcoin's perceived stagnation and limited utility, while noting that the premier crypto's only value proposition is that it's big and successful. In his opinion, consumers are not using Bitcoin because it has a new technology or capability. I'm going to try and be nice here as much as I possibly can. I feel like much of what's happening with Cardano, with ADA, and with the words of Charles Hoskinson has to do with actual stagnation in the project. For those of you who are new here or simply have not forgotten, I also hold ADA. I bought a lot of ADA years ago, and I'm still holding on to it, as we've gone over before in other videos. The problem is, as I've always said, as I've always stated, one of my philosophies is just do it. So years ago, I was quite keen on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. I mean, like almost exclusively. Even years ago in 2017, these were kind of the only coins in the news, what have you. Eventually, a bunch of new coins began to pop up in 2018, 2019, and I discouraged them. I didn't care for them. And then I was like, at some point, if you've been here for a while, I was like, okay, cool, just do it. So we heard from Cardano, we heard from IOTA, we heard from Tron, other name, you know, I'm counting on my fingers. There were at least 15 different coins who all said at some point that they would or could or were going to become larger than XRP, larger than Ethereum. We're going to become the #1 coin. Bitcoin's slow. It's sluggish. No one's using it. That was always the actual reasoning behind it, as people kept on saying, no one's using Bitcoin. It does 3 transactions per second. So I sat there for a number of videos, for a number of conferences, because I used to go to conferences years ago. And I would listen and I would say, okay, cool, do it. Prove that Bitcoin at 3 transactions per second, no one wants to use it. So people continued to use Bitcoin. Bitcoin continued to grow. Every time we had a bear market, the only coin that's in the news is Bitcoin. About 8% of that will be some Ethereum news, and then there's usually no altcoin news as well, because the vast majority of people, the vast majority of the world, the vast majority of institutions are not using the other coins. That's part of the significance of hearing that Ripple is constantly back in the news, because they're announcing that they're working with central banks. There's like Ripple's always in the news over and over. They're making a stable coin. They're going to go public. Like, that's actual news. Those are partnerships. You can have a partnership with, this is a problem with Solana. As much as people don't want to hear it, all the hype around Solana is how many meme coins can be made. How much more network usage there is from people creating crappy coins that are just pump and dumps. How many other partnerships that Solana has. If you look into the partnerships, these are companies that have been working with Solana, or that they created, that some kind of money passed between them, and they said, okay, you make an announcement that you're using Solana, but it's not because the company wanted to do it, in good faith. They were being paid to do so. These crappy coins remain everywhere. The issue then ends up being is that a lot of people are still stepping up to a podium saying that their coin can do X, Y, and Z. Their coin is going to do this. Their coin is going to be blah, blah, blah. And we've had a lot of situations quite recently with Cardano or with Hoskinson when he's talking about things. And the problem is that it causes confusion in the market. It may not seem so to you because maybe your brain capacity is larger than other people's. I'm not really sure. But the issue is that when you have new people getting into the market, similar to 2016, 2017, and 2018, if you weren't here, what happens is all the news is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going up. XRP's going up. Ethereum's going up. And then you have 18 other coins who are constantly releasing press releases. They're releasing news. I'm the new Bitcoin. I'm the new this. I'm the new that. And people instead of throwing their money into the coins that are actually going to succeed and have been around for a long time and logistically seem like they're going to be around for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, they throw their money into other projects that aren't doing as well or will never do as well. I'm not talking about Cardano here specifically. It's just more of like that same kind of energy. So we're getting to the point where everyone's expecting our market to pump. Everyone's expecting XYZ to happen, so and so, to our market. Then Charles Hoskinson and many other people end up coming out talking negatively about the major coins in the market. There is never in the history of man going to be a situation where Cardano outperforms Bitcoin. You can sit there and go, well, transactions per second and this so and so. If anyone can actually do this, please. I looked around before making this video. I looked around and couldn't find it. If you can find metrics for actual money flowing through blockchains, that would help me a lot. I don't mean trading volume. I'm having a very difficult time finding any website, and every time that I look for one, I'm just being shown in search results transaction volume, 24-hour transaction volume, cryptocurrency exchange volume, like that kind of thing. There must be a metric somewhere that shows how much money, like outside usage, is happening for Cardano, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of times articles will talk about this coin did amazingly against Ethereum. And then when you actually look at it, they're talking about the 24-hour transaction volume on Coinbase, on Binance, and on Gemini. That's not, you can have someone who decides to pump up the volume that day, who had $50 million, and they're trading back and forth with that $50 million with a bot 800 times so that the transaction volume actually moves up. I mean, like money outside, purely on chain, remittances, how much money is being sent. You know how like we had the metric before that Bitcoin is sending over $1 trillion per month worth of value outside of the actual trading volume. And that also, even in and of itself, completely just steps on every other chain. So I looked around and it was very easy to find. Like these metrics were easier to find than the actual numbers. Like I want pure numbers. from a remittance standpoint, you know how like when you go on like Block Explorer, if you've never gone on Block Explorer, you can see like active transactions like on chain for Bitcoin. But I want those numbers summed up in a 24-hour period. I want to see on a chart daily how much money in US dollars is flowing through Bitcoin, is flowing through Cardano, is flowing through Ether. Trading transaction volume means absolutely nothing to me because that can all be changed and faked. Anyway, so, I mean, once again, like I said, I'm going to be nice here, but I don't really understand what's going on with Cardano, with ADA, and also with all the recent ramblings of Charles Hoskinson. He's been doing this for a couple of years now, where he's kind of just talking negatively about every other coin. A couple of months ago, he said Ethereum was garbage. Ethereum's never going to go anywhere. They're never going to get an ETF. Bam. What happens? He stops talking about Ethereum because all the stuff that he said didn't come true. You might remember as well, I think the beginning of this year and also last year, he was talking negatively every single day about XRP. He's talking about the community. He was talking about the coin's price. He was talking about the usage. You cannot talk about XRP's usage when Cardano has had no new partnerships and Ripple literally just showed us a list of these central banks who they're working with. Like, it just doesn't reach reality. You can't talk about that Cardano is going to flip Bitcoin. Are you writing a book? Like, I mean, like an imaginary children's book. The odds of Ethereum flipping Bitcoin are astronomically higher than Cardano ever being able to do so. The odds of XRP flipping Bitcoin are astronomically higher than Cardano ever being able to do so. I go over daily cryptocurrency news. I have to peruse and scout the web for daily crypto news. We have not had a Cardano partnership news. It's been around 2 years. Anytime that we hear anything about Cardano, it's always just been Charles Hoskinson going on a rant about some other coin. I think we had news maybe last summer that they were trying to, oh gosh, what was it? They were in discussions with some company, but that ended up going nowhere. It was then them contacting that company. You might have seen, also, this was 3 or 4 days ago. I don't remember. This was recently. I think he was also talking negatively. I think he was talking negatively about Dogecoin. And he was like, I don't understand Dogecoin. He kind of went off on a rant. If you look it up, well, no, yeah, it was also about Elon Musk. I think, oh gosh, what was it? It was something completely insane. And I think the news is that he tried to contact them and no one contacted him back. This is what I read online. He keeps it, like, he even announced recently, you can also find this one. He was trying to start a partnership with like Bitcoin Cash, and that also went nowhere. Like it's all these really, and I don't know what's going on. Like, I literally don't know what's going on. I go over the news daily. There's been no Cardano partnerships, no nothing, no anything. Bitcoin doesn't need partnerships because it is the #1 coin, because it is the market. When you talk about people are discussing what's the first ETFs that we should have, they're not like, I don't know if we should use Bitcoin. Should we go for a Cardano? No, like, they wanted a Bitcoin ETF first. There's a reason why Ethereum is the second one. I don't know what it is. I have a whole bunch of theories and ideas, but I can't really say them for sure. I found a bunch of websites that have like actual transaction count. I could not find anywhere money going through these networks, because transaction counts also can be not faked, but like it's not really relevant, especially during the time of a bull run when you see how much money is flowing through something. So for instance, I know that the website is a bit like cut off here because this website is like far too long. I know that doesn't sound correct, but like the based on the formatting, a lot of these websites are very like shifted over to one side. The point is, these are the metrics that I found for transactions per day for Cardano. So you even see around here the transaction count in 2019. is 1,600 per day, 2,000 per day, 1,000 something per day. And then roughly around the beginning of 2021, we're getting around 14,000 transactions per day. Everyone still with me? 14,000 transactions per day. We see some spikes to around 35,000. This is 59,000. And then by the time we get near the peak of the bull run, if I can land right on it, we get to 495,000 transactions per day. 22nd November 2021. Let's round it up to 500,000 transactions per day. The market goes down, so do the transactions per day. This was the only spike that we had, this one right here. There's, and I dare say, barely any usage. 61,000 transactions per day, 70,000, 70. So some days it goes down to 7,000 transactions per day. I'm not sure. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. Roughly around some days 100,000, 50,000, 60, and then you can't see because it's off the screen. There's a drop right here and it keeps going down. And this is where we currently are, around 20,000 transactions per day, what have you. Once again, I'm looking for money going through the network. I couldn't find it. So it's basically in this market where it is estimated that we have over 100 million people in this market. We're getting to around 50 to 20,000 transactions per day. I looked for the same information for Bitcoin. You need to get around to 2013 to hit those numbers for Bitcoin. We need to go back a decade and then some to hit the numbers that Cardano is currently doing. And even some days when you hit the 20,000s, we're back in 2012. Everyone still with me? By the time we get to the bull run of 2017, we're hitting around 200, 300 something thousand per day. These are the current numbers roughly around here. It's always, and for some reason, this website only went up to the 2nd of June. Question mark. Why did what's the, give me more numbers. What exactly is going on? It even stops in the beginning of the day on the 2nd of June. We're constantly hitting around 700, 500, 300, 400,000 transactions per day. And that's with 3 transactions per second, making sure that I throw that out there because Cardano is one of those blockchains where they make sure to let you know that they don't do transactions per second. Cardano's a blockchain where they batch everything together. So in one transaction, there might be hundreds of transactions. And I told people before to show me proof of all these things. And I wanted transactions per second. That's how things in the world are measured. That's how Visa and MasterCard are measured. That's why everyone's talking about the illustrious 60,000 transactions per second, because that's what you want to get up to show that you are doing better than Visa and MasterCard. So I don't know what he's talking about. There isn't, like, the only stalling and stagnation that we're seeing in Bitcoin is price. The network usage is literally at an all-time high every single day. The amount of people who are mining continues to increase every single day. It's this kind of really weird delusion because I do not know if a lot of the hate or weirdness against Bitcoin, not just from Cardano, but from any other chain, has to do with the idea that people think that they can't find information. Do you think that by you saying that Bitcoin has stalled or is stagnating, or the only reason why Bitcoin's #1 is because it's big and successful, is because we can't find actual numbers on usage? I may not be able to find how much money in US dollar value is flowing through your market, but I can guarantee you, without a shadow of an iceberg, of a mountain of a doubt, you aren't doing 1/10 of what Bitcoin is doing daily, money-wise. I'm going to assume that over the course of a month, Cardano is not doing $100 billion worth of money value movement on its chain. So this was actually, what the problem is that this ends up making big news. I never know if it's because people are feeling similar to how I am and they're calling out shenanigans, or if there are really people who believe this kind of nonsense. I feel like a lot of Cardano's energy the team's energy. Once again, I'm not a developer. I am not a creator of chains and of systems. I do not know how much energy and time goes into these things. So I applaud you for building these networks that we have. Fantastic. But I feel like a lot of the energy, as opposed to talking negatively constantly about other chains, this was also a problem in 2018, 2019. The only hype that a lot of these chains had was talking bad about other chains. So many of them, so many chains that you don't even hear about anymore because they've disappeared. They're so obsessed with trying to make like rap beef kind of thing go, like, you know, they instead of actually being productive and going into the studio and knocking out about 15 songs, you know, making content, they'll make one song that just negativity about someone else. And the next month they go, well, that one kind of worked. Next month, let's also talk that. So like, it's just like it's a negativity chain, not talking about block, but like you like, it just kind of continues going. The time that you took talking negatively about other chains could have been used for you to talk about the community and say, hey, what can we do to make ourselves better? If this is a community run thing, ask people in the community, do you guys code? Do you guys so-and-so? How can we work with you? Do you guys have any propositions as to how we can maybe have a coin burn on Cardano that does X, Y, and Z? Does anyone have any ideas? What can we do to improve the network? Does anyone out there work for Google? Can we have a conversation with you? How can Cardano link up with Google? How can we work with this company? You know, we had some bad energy before in the past, but we would love to have a Bitcoin sidechain. We'd love to have an Ethereum this. We'd love to, we tried reaching out to Elon Musk. It didn't work out, and the Dogecoin people, but we would love to work with Shiba Inu. We think, like that. It gives me chills even thinking about it because it's so out of the realm of possibilities. Everyone sits there and is just constantly negative. This was a huge problem in the crypto space years ago when I kept on telling people everyone was just talking negative. Everyone was just talking negatively. Well, Bitcoin's garbage. XRP's going to the floor. It's not going anywhere. You use that coin, and it's like the negativity that we have already in the world, you bring into our space, and it just continues growing as opposed to having actual connections with each other. You understand that we have a market that's trying to literally overthrow the market that we've had and the system that we've had for hundreds of years. We're in it together. I'm not expecting you to hold hands in kumbaya, but be nice to each other. Try to open up a dialogue. How much more good energy would you have if this news article had been Charles Hoskinson is trying to talk to Bitcoin developers as to how they can integrate together? Bitcoin only does 3 transactions per second. Let's move 15% of those transactions onto Cardano. Cardano can handle it. Let's make sure that Bitcoin remains the #1 chain with Cardano at its side. Yeah, you see that feeling? That's nonsense because it's never going to happen. Because all the news is just constantly negative. It's so insane. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, that's the Charles Hoskinson news of the day. It's always the same. It's always something negative. I give it 4 weeks. Even that feels a bit too long. There's going to be some other kind of news about something else happening with this coin, or someone said something to him, or someone didn't say something to him, and it brings the entire project down. No one wants the creator of a coin who's just constantly complaining and stuff all day. No one wants that. It's insane. It's completely nuts. That's why I think when you look at especially the earlier days of Ethereum, why it gained so much traction. A lot of you might not have been here. Vitalik Buterin used to go on stage and all the time in these like rainbow unicorn shirts. And he used to sit there, not that he didn't take stuff seriously, but he would have fun with it. He was like, yeah, so-and-so, we used to blah, blah, blah. And it was just like a nice, calm conversation. I can't recall any point in the last couple of years where Vitalik was like, Bitcoin's terrible and it needs to go down. We're going to become the #1 coin. Cardano, those coins don't exist. Why? It's the same exact thing with the creator of Dogecoin. All he does is spread negativity. It ruins the project. It ruins the energy in the space. Once again, you don't got a kumbaya, but you know, it's so weird. It's so odd. Yeah. Super popular news. I don't know what else to say. Try to be nice to people. It literally costs you nothing. Always remember that. Once a day, try and do something nice for people. Hold the door open to someone, for someone. Say something nice to someone. If people are mean to you, it's because their lives are terrible. Try to be nice every single day to someone. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. If you don't like another chain, don't talk about it. Don't buy in it. Don't invest it. My issue is that I keep getting news that's trying to fool people that this coin and this chain and Solana's the answer. And I'm like, it's not. It's not. These things are fake. They don't really exist. Why do you think? Where would Solana be if it didn't have 9,000 meme coins on top of it? Tell me right now. Give me an honest answer. Because I know. I've seen it. A lot of people out there, you're investing in all these meme coins, and that's the reason, you can look it up, why Solana was pumping in price. It's because people kept on making new coins and more money was flowing into the network. Your chain can't be meme coins that exist for a week and a half and then they rug pull. What's the value proposition of Solana besides memes? How far memes gonna get you in life? Give me a real answer. You can't talk about market dynamics. What's this guy's name? Novogratz was just in the news like 4 or 5 days ago, talking about how he likes meme coins and they're great for the space. They're not. They're literal scams. You have people getting into our market who don't know the difference. And they throw money into these projects assuming that it's going to be the next Bitcoin. That was the problem in 2017 and 2018. They created Bitcoin Cash to scam people. People threw their money in Bitcoin Cash because Roger Ver was telling people, he told people that Bitcoin Cash was Bitcoin. The website changed the name at the bottom. I remember this website. You were able to scroll to the bottom. I have it in the video. You were able to scroll to the bottom of the website, and they changed the word Bitcoin Cash into simply Bitcoin. And they changed the Bitcoin into, it said Bitcoin Core. It was meant to fool people. People went there buying the wrong coin. They bought Bcash and couldn't transfer it to the BTC chain. That's why we had Bitcoin Unlimited. That's why we had Bitcoin Black. That's why we had Bitcoin Gold. That's why we had Bitcoin, what was the other one? Well, we also had Satoshi's Vision. These are meant to fool people. These are not healthy for the ecosystem. People got into the market and didn't know what coin to buy. There were people arguing online that they heard that some man say in a YouTube video that Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's Vision, was Bitcoin. They just got into the market. They don't understand. You have tons of people moving into this market and buying all of these new Solana coins. I see the discussions on. I told you I always stand there and I watch and I listen and I see what's going on. These people write. My friend told me, he's been in crypto for years. He's made money. My friend told me that this coin is going to be the next so and so. How many videos did we have in 2018, 2019 where I was like, guys, there's a new coin coming out. You got to watch out for it. There's a new coin coming out. Please watch out. Like, I kept on telling people because the misinformation was so high. All these coins are garbage. And you're being lied to put your money into them. And the problem is that the moment the market starts going back up, you and your friends will throw money into these coins. Yeah, my friend made 15K, so I got to do the exact, oh, I got rug pulled. Oh, crap. Well, but there's another coin. And it continues this way until in 5 years, you realized all the money that you could have had in the market, that could have been in a savings account, that could have been in a bank account, that you could have had is gone because of these rug pulls, because of this nonsense. They're marketing these chains to you as the next big thing because they're creating garbage. They're literally going to a garbage dump, throwing it in front of you and painting it gold and going, that looks like Bitcoin. And people are falling for it over and over and over because of this hope of money appearing quickly. The idea of actually investing and things taking time. Nobody wants that. Who wants to take time to actually make money? No, we want it instantaneously. I need quick money right now. So you will throw your hard-earned money into meme coins, into garbage, knowing that your friend just got rug pulled. You know how many times I see these articles? These articles aren't in my videos because they're nonsense. Because I'm like, clearly the people watching my channel know a lot better. There are websites out there who will literally announce, this new coin just popped up on Solana, moved up by 8,000%, and I will look the next day for news. That coin, they'll have an article. This coin dropped by 99% in an hour. What are the value propositions for garbage? How can you stand by these? You know these chains are garbage. We're going to have these same conversations in 6-7 years. I've been through all of this before. I'm not trying to lead you astray. This is what the news is constantly, over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's nuts. It's completely insane how people are so willing to throw away their money on complete nonsense. The idea of buying Bitcoin, buying Ether, buying another big coin, and having to wait for 5 to 10 years to make 6-7 figures is so mentally detrimental to so many people that they'll literally do anything else. It's nuts. It's completely insane having to see this all the time. I don't think that Cardano is bad. I think the structuring around it, this really weird tower that they've kind of built, where they throw a note out of the window and it says update coming, and it takes 2 years for that update, is a little annoying. Cardano clearly works as a chain. We have a lot of people in the space who look through these chains, who analyze them. Cardano clearly works, but their methodology, their way of marketing themselves is garbage. And that needs to change really fast. I told you before in a couple of other videos, I think Cardano has 1 or 2 cycles left. I think we're going to see a $7 Cardano. I think $7.50, $8.30. I think it'll do fine during the bull market, bull run. But the next cycle, the 2028, 2029 cycle, people might not be messing with Cardano anymore. It has to, you got to get it together. And you can't keep releasing news every week and a half that you're better than everyone else when you have no partnerships, when no one's using you. It's crazy. It's literally completely insane. I don't understand what's going on. Oh boy, it's time for some Shiba Inu burn coin news, because at least that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think that's going to do it for this video. Was not expecting to rant, but we got to get it together. We really gotta, because it's the same thing from before. It's this like crumbling of the mind, of the space, because of desperation and because of lies and stuff like that. And you know you're being lied to. That's the problem. People sit there, you hear these things, and you know that person is lying. It's nuts. It's completely insane. You know what the best chains are. You know what the best coins are. There are still people. There's still people every single day. Do you understand the word every single day? Who leave a thumbs down on my videos, and in the comment section, they write that XRP is garbage. You know how sad your life has to be that you've spent all this time lying to yourself, and you wait for me to post a video to leave a thumbs down. Go outside, go for a walk, go into nature. Go bird watching. Literally do anything else, and you will feel so much better afterwards. It's crazy. I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.